And I'm very excited to be trying some English whiskies today. I'm taking part in the Whisky Lounge English Whisky Tasting, which is Friday the 8th of May at 9 p.m. So super excited because I've not actually tried a lot of English whiskies before. I have tried the Sacred Whisky peated English whiskey before, which was a really nice little peated expression, but I'm not sure if I've ever actually tried the ones we're trying today. So we are going to try 5 different ones. I'll go through them and see if I can kind of compare them a little bit. And these are my first kind of thoughts and immediate reactions to them. I've not tried them before this, so this will be very exciting. So the first one we're going to start with is the English Whisky Company, so the St. George Distillery, which was founded in 2006. And this particular expression was distilled in August of 2011 and bottled in October of 2018. It's been matured in Ex-Bourbon American oak casks and then moved into Oloroso sherry casks. So it's going to be really interesting to see what this is like. It is called the English Whisky Double Cask and it sits at 46%. So let's have a little nose. My first impression is that it kind of smells a bit like stewed peaches. So it's not fresh, like tropical peaches, but kind of that stewed fruits note. Might come from those Oloroso casks perhaps. And almost a bit like a leather tone in there as well. Quite pleasant on the nose, quite fruity, quite intriguing. But let's have a little taste. Immediately feels very spicy to me, but also with like that hint of like fresh orchard fruits. So more peachy, like ripe peaches on the palate and more stewed peaches on the nose, I would say. Still a bit of that leathery note, and it's lingering with it in the finish as well. It's quite a perky spiciness, I would say. Interesting. It does have that kind of fresh, youthful character as well. And that spice is really like an oak spice. So I think it's those kind of wood influences that gives it that kind of really perky spiciness. So if you like spice, maybe that's a good one for you. Well, I'll definitely come back to this in a wee while, but I'm going to move on to Bimber Distillery. So Bimber is located in London. It was founded only a few years ago in 2016. And it seems like a really interesting distillery to visit. They're doing a lot of kind of different things. They have a directly heated copper still, and they're using local barley as well. And I would say it's quite a trendy distillery at the moment, and I feel like they are very popular amongst many at the moment. So I'm very excited to try this one. And this specific one we're going to try now is actually a brand new expression that is not yet out. It's been matured in Ex-Bourbon Casks and it says at 54.6% ABV, so it's quite a powerful little dram. But yeah, let's have a little nose. It's quite mellow on the nose. I'm not getting as much as I am from the other one. The other one was immediately kind of fruity. This one is a bit more kind of subdued on the nose. Maybe it's the alcohol that's hiding all those lovely aromas. It does have that kind of dunnage warehouse, kind of earthy nature note, if that makes sense, like earth and floors and stone walls. And it's kind of warming up with a little bit of a kind of a spiciness. And some quite soft vanilla notes as well. Let's have a taste. Not at all like the nose. You get so much kind of sweetness immediately. A really kind of fresh fruitiness, like tropical fruits. Yeah, a mixture between a kind of tropical fruits and a slight bitterness, like a black tea bitterness, and that slight leather notes in this as well. I feel like it's not as spicy as the first one. with still quite a lot of spice, but almost more of a kind of pineapple mango note on this one. Interesting. So the next one we're going to try is from the spirit of Yorkshire Distillery. It's called Filey Bay and it's a Moscatel finished whiskey. It sits at 46% ABV and they are also using local barley. And this barley is actually sourced from one of the owners, Tom Meller's own farm. So that's quite a fun little fact as well. But yeah, let's have a little nose. This one almost reminds me a bit more of like a maritime malt on the nose. It has that kind of sea breeze note, I would say. And still fruitiness, but more kind of an apple pear crisp fruitiness. Let's have a little taste. Slangera. This one feels much smoother than the other two. It's very kind of easygoing and very mellow, but it still has a really nice fruitiness, like a pear fruitiness. It doesn't have that kind of same spice as I find in the other two. Quite a perfumed nose as well. Still a wee bit of spice, but not quite as prickly as the other two had. It's just a different kind of spice. I do like sometimes when it's kind of that really intensive spice. It's very interesting to find in a whiskey. But these just are so different. It's so fun to see. So up next is a cask strength expression from the Cotswolds Distillery. It is also a single malt and it sits at 60.5% ABV and it's called the Founder's Choice. And it's actually a businessman from New York who started off this kind of project with creating the Cotswolds Distillery. And this whiskey's been matured on apparently this businessman's favourite casks, which are shaved, toasted and re-charred American oak red wine barriques. So very interesting. Let's have a little look. Definitely has kind of a deeper, more, I don't know if this makes sense, but a more kind of purple, like deep burgundy purple note. It does smell more wine influence than the other does. It's that kind of nice note you can get in maybe like a quite dark Australian Grenache. I've had an Australian Grenache quite recently, and when noticing that you just get these lovely kind of powerful, smooth but deep notes of kind of purple fruits, and that's what I'm getting a bit on the nose here. Some fresh notes, so maybe kind of that fresh pear as well. But let's have a taste. Slangera. Also quite an intensive spice, but a lot more kind of plum notes on this one. Overall it feels like it's quite a fruity spirit, so it's, if you've ever tried like a fruity new make, it feels like you get that kind of fresh notes of kind of an untouched spirit. And it's mixed really well, this kind of purpley fruit notes, which also has a really fresh tone. So far this is the one that's making my mouth water the most. So it's kind of that acidity as well. But also that spice, the intensity of the spice made me think that it was going to be dry, but it still just feels very fresh, which is interesting. But we're going to move on to our last whiskey, which is from the Leeks Distillery, which is located in the Lake District in Cumbria. And we're going to try the Leeks Whiskey Maker Reserve number 2. And this sits at 60.5% ABV. And they have mainly used a lot of ex-sherry casks for their single malts previously. But this whiskey is actually a combination of red wine ex-bourbon casks and Pedro Jimenez sherry casks. So let's have a little nose. Oh, this has an explosion of kind of fruits. It actually reminds me of the first time I tried a Cab Lan, because it has this kind of intensive stewed fruits explosion, and that's kind of what got on the nose of this. Yeah, it's like an explosion if you have a perfectly mixed kind of tropical spiciness and you blend that together with these tropical fruits. So you have like your figs and your maybe sultanas and raisins and plums and yeah, just like lots of different tropical tones that just blend together and becomes really powerful. Could be that ex-Pedro sherry with the combination of the red wine. You can kind of see how those are both contributing to this kind of nose. But let's have a taste. Slanjava. Even on the palate, it's reminding me of Cavalan. It does have that really kind of rich flavour of those stewed fruits and the kind of raciness that you often get from Pedro Jimenez sherry. I still think it's not overpowered by the casks. It just feels like it's a really nice spirit that is topped up with these cask influences, like the red wines give you a bit of tannins, a really pleasant oak spice. And then the Pedro Jimenez comes with those tropical fruits and raisins and kind of figs. Yeah, very, very interesting. It's so fun to see how all these five are so different, but so nice in their own way. But let's go back and try them a little bit once more. So back to the English Whiskey Company whiskey. Oh, interesting. It smells way more like toffee now on the nose, but very elegant. Very elegant nose. Still quite fresh and quite leathery. Yeah, if you had like an afternoon tea and you sat down with your cup of Earl Grey or English breakfast and then you wanted a dram, something quite elegant, something that will suit the leather sofa you're sitting in, this would be a great afternoon tea dram. But you know me, I like whiskey fika when you pair your kind of sweet treats with your whiskies. And this doesn't feel overpoweringly sweet. It just has a really kind of fresh and like leathery note, which I love. So back to the Bimber. Interesting. It now feels a bit more candy sweetness. Yeah, kind of an artificial kind of fruity sweetness that you find in candy. Yeah, and kind of same on the palate as well. It feels quite quirky and quite interesting, but it also has kind of a perfumey, like soap in a good way. So if you have like your soap, and sometimes you get a really good mixture of those kind of floral tones that you tend to get in perfumes and in soap, but they also kind of blend in with. So if you could eat your soap without tasting like not nice, that's what I mean when I say soaps. It's just those kind of mixture of those lovely floral tones. Maybe a bit of kind of rose, maybe a bit of lavender as well. Interesting. And back to the Filey Bay Moscatel. Yeah, it does have this kind of elegant, smooth. So it does have this kind of smooth, tropical feel to it. It's not as punchy and like strong as I got on the Leeks, but it just feels very New Zealand whiskey or Taiwanese whiskey that's been matured somewhere where it's a little bit of a hotter climate, I feel this kind of powerful stewed fruits notes that you get, like an explosion of flavour, and that is definitely what I'm getting on this one. It's just so much flavour. Definitely reminds me of a Catalan Solist. It does sit at a higher ABV, but it doesn't feel too strong. It's weirdly easygoing. Maybe that's a bit dangerous. I would of course love to hear what you guys think of English whiskey. Is there another distillery that I haven't tried that I should try? Is there another expression do you think I should try? I think it's so wonderful to see different parts of the world making their own whiskey, doing their own thing, just creating something that might have an influence of their culture as well. And I can't wait to see more of these distilleries, see more of their expressions, experience more of what they have to come with in the future. And of course I'm looking forward to this English whiskey tasting with the Whiskey Lounge coming up in a few days. Might see you there, but please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Feel free to follow me on Instagram if you would like. The link is here as well, and as always, have a lovely day. Slàinte mhath.